All right, now that we have our custom floors and our custom walls, we're going to customize the ceiling. And the ceiling is almost exactly like the floor. So let's go into our section view that we created. And you'll remember we put a ceiling in. And why don't we see the ceiling? I'm not seeing it. So we're going to turn our detail to fine. I still don't see the ceiling. Let's also change the depth of our clipping. Let's just go 1 inch so that we don't get all this other stuff. It cleans up the view. Our ceiling is there. It's just very, very thin. So we're going to turn this into a real ceiling. So in residential construction, typically in this scenario, all that happens is you would see the trusses that are in the roof. They'd be coming down like this, right, with the webbing in between, and there'd be a bottom. They call that the bottom chord. And then going this way, the trusses would be running the other direction, like this. But they would all have a bottom chord, right? So there's already like a 2x10 that's the bottom chord of the truss. All that they do in residential construction is they just take sheetrock and they nail it, or they screw it to the bottom of that truss. So what we're really looking to do is just put gypboard or sheetrock right at the bottom of those trusses. So our ceiling is already attached to the roof, which is the bottom of our trusses. So that's good. The level's right, but there's just like no thickness to this roof or this ceiling. So we'll click the ceiling and we can see that it says basic ceiling. Let's edit the type just like we would anything else. Let's duplicate it and name it. So we'll just call it gypboard. So we know it's a gypboard ceiling. And then this ceiling, oh, interesting. Okay, I'm gonna change my mind. So the basic ceiling isn't the best way to go. I'm gonna cancel. Let's click our ceiling and let's change it from a basic ceiling to a compound ceiling. And let's just pick one of the existing compound ceilings. Let's do a 2x4 ACT system. This is what you're using in commercial construction. It's those ceiling tiles that are in the grid that you're used to seeing. That's what an ACT system is. Acoustical ceiling tile is what it stands for. All right, so now you can see it shows you the thickness. It's showing you like the little acoustical tiles, and then this is the track. That's the border that holds the tiles, the grid system. So that's not what we want. So let's edit this, and we're going to duplicate it, and we're going to call it gyp, and click OK. And then we're going to hit structure just like you do everything else. And if you want to preview, you can show the preview. And you can see it's got 2 layers. We only want 1 layer. So let's just go to the structure. Well, let's go to the finish and move it up. And let's highlight the structure and delete it. And we'll call it finish 1. Not that it really matters that much, but. And then it's going to be 1/2 inch gypboard. So we'll just type in 1/2 inches thick. And now we'll pick the material. And we can just pick gypsum board. It's the same stuff that we put on the walls. So we'll just click OK. And there we go. Now we can click OK. We've made our new ceiling type. Click OK. And now it's a 1/2 inch ceiling. And now it looks right. The only problem is technically the ceiling would go on the bottom of the joists. And right now, the bottom of the joists are sitting right on top of the wall, like this. I mean, I'm not drawing it in the right spot, but if the wall were here, our joists are, our trusses are sitting on top of the wall. So that means the ceiling would go underneath this line right here. So technically, the ceiling should be 1/2 inch down. So you can either move it down 1/2 inch by changing its offset from the main floor, So you could call it 8 foot 11.5 inches offset, and that would move it down. But that's a little confusing. So the other thing you could do is you could host it to the roof level, and you could give it a negative 1/2 inch offset. That would also put it in the right spot. Or if you undo that, you could also just pick it and use the move tool, and you can move it 1/2 inch down. So there's lots of ways to get it in the right spot. You can pick whatever way you think you like the most, but that will all accomplish the same thing. It's really just a matter of opinion. How would you like the ceiling to behave if you made a change? So right now, when I moved it down 1/2 inch, all it did was it changed the offset from the main floor by 1/2 inch. So what that means is the ceiling will move when the main floor moves. But if that's not what you want, so for instance, if I was to raise the roof higher, the ceiling is going to stay in the same spot. Watch. So I'm going to use the move command, and I'm going to move this up 1 foot. Do you see how the ceiling didn't move? So let's undo that. And if I change this instead to be hosted to the roof level, and I give it a negative 1/2 inch offset, it puts it in the same spot, but the behavior is different. Now if I move the roof up 1 foot, the ceiling moves with the roof line. So really it's up to you to decide how you want to host it. In this case, I think I would leave it hosted to the roof line, because I would guess if I move the roof up, I'm going to want the ceiling to move with the roof. But in a commercial project, you don't put the ceiling on the bottom of the roof joists. You hang them down. You use that acoustical ceiling, and it hangs down to whatever level you want. So typically in a commercial application, you would want the ceiling to be based on the floor and not the roof. Okay, so that's all you need to do to edit a ceiling and make it customizable.